The Bush administration is proposing to spend up to $700 billion buying troubled assets that could be anything from securities backed by home loans and commercial mortgages and the actual mortgages themselves. It could include broader things that we don't really associate with mortgages. It would be buying these things from financial institutions. The most important question at the moment is what price the government will pay for these securities or these loans. This is the fine balance that Treasury has to strike. The fair prices are very hard to determine at the moment for a lot of these assets because even investors, even sophisticated investors with complex computer models can't figure out what some of these mortgages and mortgage securities are worth. The key here is what happens to home prices and the economy. If you have home prices fall further, that means these mortgage assets will be worth less because if you have a foreclosure, for instance, when you go back to sell the house in the marketplace, you'll recover less. And if the economy worsens, people lose their jobs, people see their wages cut or their hours cut, that will mean that more people will become delinquent and go through the foreclosure process. There's a very fluid dynamic, and a lot of the value of these assets depends upon your assumptions of what's going to happen to the economy. We took a look at a mortgage portfolio that was securitized by Bear Stearns, the investment bank that almost failed in March and was acquired by JP Morgan Chase. This was a portfolio of about 3,000 loans, a little bit less than 3,000 loans. It was made to borrowers with good credit histories. It had about 800 of the loans had already been prepaid or gone through the foreclosure process, so we had about 2,100 loans or so that were left. On the surface, this pool looks pretty good, but when you look sort of below the surface, there were things that you should be worried about. Nearly 10% of the loans were either in foreclosure or the bank had already taken possession of the property. Altogether, 23% were delinquent by 60 days or more or had been in foreclosure. So that sort of suggests, wait a minute, the losses are actually going to be a lot higher going forward. Oh, and by the way, that portfolio has about 36 different bonds that are issued against it. So if you're the government, which bond are you going to buy? What price are you going to pay for bond A versus bond B versus bond C? That sort of just highlights the difficulty in valuing these assets.